Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Nerd Show's presentation of Slam Nation Wrestling for the week of June 1st. Boy, oh boy, Lord Cash, we've made it to June. We're almost ready for the summer. Can you believe that?
It's no longer May.
I don't know if I can approve for that NSYNC parody. I don't know. I'd have to think it goes. I don't even know what to say to that.
Then I've done my job. I've left you speechless.
There you go. Now it's exciting though, as we are going closer to the summer month, is because this summer SummerSlam will actually have fans in attendance. That is at least what it's going for right now, because even next month in July, Money in the Bank will also have attendance. SummerSlam is going to be so much different this year. Now, as we're kind of going right into it, rumor has it, and I think you and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, rumor has it that Cardi B is supposed to be involved in SummerSlam. Have you heard this? I guess not. I was talking to somebody else.
Yeah, that would have been someone else.
Yeah, they're using a Cardi B song for like the like the theme for it, and there's some rumors going on that she's going to be there, maybe in a hosting capacity. I can't imagine she'll be wrestling, but we'll cover that, everybody, as we get more and more information. If Cardi B gives me a phone call, my phone might go off. I'll take it. I'll have to take it.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, because I know Ozzy Osbourne has the song for Hell in a Cell, if I'm not mistaken.
Perhaps. I did not actually pick up on that. It's funny. I don't think I've even seen any Hell in a Cell commercials, which obviously Hell in a Cell is like in 2 weeks.
Well, I think the only one that we had was during the WrestleMania Backlash, where they're like, "Oh, by the way, our next pay-per-view is going to be Hell in a Cell."
Yeah.
And that's about it. Which I really don't, for that matter, I don't know if I've ever actually seen wrestling commercials. I wonder if you watch a lot of Peacock Network, that they may have that slipped in there, depending on what you're watching. I don't know, maybe if you're watching a live broadcast of some of the A&E biography series,
right?
If they have, wrestling WWE commercials over there. But again, for those that have cut the cord, you're watching stuff through streaming services, or you're kind of catching things on replay. You really don't watch commercials, even though I do watch. So typically, like for Raw, I watch it on the Hulu version, the 90-minute, and then I go back and I kind of fast forward through the matches until I get to the matches that weren't in the Hulu episodes. That way I kind of catch those. But this way, get rid of all the commercials out of the Hulu, the USA version. So,
right. And if you've seen any commercials on other programming, let us know. Put it in the chat, the message, the comments. Just because, we're actually doing some market research right now secretly. We're actually doing that for WWE. No, we're not. But be curious if you see that, because I actually do remember certainly seeing those commercials back in the day. But yeah, I'd be curious if they do appear, because when I was younger, I got so excited when I saw something from my world appear on somebody else's world, so to speak. My parents were watching like Hercules and Xena or General Hospital, and I'd see like a Royal Rumble commercial. I'd be like, my God, it exists. It's not just me.
I know that system.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to be covering today SmackDown from last Friday night on the 28th of May, I believe was the date for that. And then also the 31st of May, last night's Monday Night Raw. In addition, we do have our mid-show special, where it's going to be The Way I See It, this time featuring the often forgotten WWE 24/7 Championship belt, which Lord Cash has right behind him, actually. He is the current champion, believe it or not, but you wouldn't know it because the WWE barely covers that championship belt. But we're going to take a little trip down memory lane to see what some of the more interesting moments have happened with that title during its lineage, and some thoughts of what should they do next with it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you got up for your sleeve for that one.
Right here. They're buttoned up now, but don't believe me or not.
That's why we can't see it, because it is all buttoned up.
You got it. So we're going to go ahead and start with SmackDown from this past week. Really got started with so the Usos, by the way. So the Usos are back. That's the big news story that's been going on for the past 2 or 3 weeks, where Jimmy Uso came back from an injury, and he basically is now in there. And he's coming into a spot basically where he doesn't have a spot realistically. Whereas like Jey Uso has been like the right hand of the man at the table, the head of the table, Roman Reigns. Now Jey has been having this kind of, struggle of knowing who should he be with at this time. And basically we're seeing them actually dive into the tag team division where they even started the show with basically, basically two of the most well-known teams of the past like 5 or 6 years, Street Profits and the Usos. They did start it off with a great match, quite honestly. And it was kind of like pretty well established and hinted at that whoever was going to win this match was going to be the number one contenders against the Mysterios for the tag team title. And as we do see later on in this particular episode of SmackDown, that is actually exactly the case. Now, they came out and they actually did a nice promo to lay it down. And it's interesting just to kind of see how the Usos were kind of bringing back the Uso penitentiary line. While also like just bringing in like their current thing, the current gives. So kind of like mouth marbles, hashtag mouth marbles. I'm so excited to talk about the match in general. I mean, it was definitely a very athletic back and forth, situation. I don't know if we have it on the screen, but Lord Cash, did you see where Angelo Dawkins went flying over into the next state? He dove over the top.
Oh my gosh, yes, that was one of those like I caught it on the when it actually happened, but on the replay of it, where he like literally runs towards the turnbuckle and just dives over it to catch someone. That I think that might be it right there. Absolutely ridiculous. That guy is so freaking like just. There must be a spring in that corner. Yeah, that just helps him launch it right on over. But it was just absolutely amazing. When I caught that in replay, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that."
Yeah, and I always wonder because I mean, obviously there have been moments in the in World Wrestling Entertainment's history where like moves like that end kind of not so well. Where like either the guy misses his target of hitting an opponent or the opponent misses him. But also sometimes you're sweaty. Right, I mean, I can just only imagine like the timing and the focus that even Jey Uso has to have to be able to kind of be in the right spot to catch him without killing himself.
Right. Yeah, it was. That's on a whole nother level right there for these guys. For me, I was happy to see Jimmy and Jey back together. Going at it one more time as tag team partners. I love what the Street Profits have been doing. Even though they don't have blue solo cups, I still like them. I still enjoy their performances in between the ring. So it was a really tough call to like who I wanted to win on this one. Obviously, kind of you need the storyline to go there. So if you kind of give a little thought about who should win, it kind of makes sense as to who won.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, in order to progress the story, I mean, the Street Profits really don't have what's going on right now, so they could take the L. The Usos do win, and now they're going to be competing with spoiler, there's another match throughout the night, but they are going to be competing against the Mysterios next week on SmackDown. I did find it interesting that, as you can see right here, Jimmy did get the win first team. He hit it with like a low super kick, not hitting the Superfly splash anymore. Coming back from a pretty significant knee injury, that didn't really surprise me, quite honestly. Try to, be a little nicer to his lower limbs.
Right. Let him kind of recover just a little bit more, maybe work it into, getting in those bumps and bruises, if you don't have to.
Right. Now, with that in mind, as far as next week, a couple of questions for you, Lord Cash. One is, did your broadcast start with an error? Because when I watched this, it actually started with the Street Profits coming out to the ring, Michael Cole doing his whole big intro like, let's start SmackDown with the Street Profits. They come out and they start doing their dance, and then it cut off abruptly and went to a backstage segment with the Usos and Roman Reigns.
No. So was that the live viewing, or is that the Hulu viewing?
That was actually the Hulu version. And it was interesting because I'm like, oh, maybe my stream just reset. It didn't. It was a totally different intro as well, because when the Street Profits came out again, it was actually different when they came out.
Yeah, so typically, because, and this is just my gripe, if you will, but I don't get the Hulu version of SmackDown until Sunday.
Yeah.
So Saturday is one of those days that, you know, I'm doing nothing at home. I'm tinkering on the computer, setting up this show, that show. So I actually I DVR it on another streaming service, and so I'm able to watch that as a live broadcast, which is how I also have the live broadcast of Raw as well. So I can see that. So I watched the live broadcast of SmackDown like on Saturday, and I haven't even watched the Hulu version because it's pretty much no point.
Yeah, they don't really edit much off of the Hulu version because it's a shorter show anyway.
Right.
I was just curious. I was waiting to talk to you about that. But yeah, maybe it's just me. Maybe I had a little mental hiccup, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Well, I'm when I get off, I'll finish. I'll take a peek at it, and you know, maybe send a little note to you, be like, "Yeah, you weren't seeing things," or "Dude, I don't know what you're talking about."
Right, exactly. And what we did see next, though, kind of tying into our previous match, we did see a Superfly Splash. As Tamina and Natalya, our current women's tag team champions, did defend the belt against the Riot Squad. You know, I like the Riot Squad. They've made a lot of improvements over the year or two they've been a tag team. But I just wish that, you know, there'd be more of a story as far as to, like, you know, how did the Riot Squad get the tag team title shot? Because I do not believe that they beat anybody to gain this title shot, if I'm not mistaken.
Was this for the title?
I believe so. I mean, I guess that question is almost irrelevant at this point, because typically there's a non-title match that leads to a title match. There has to be a victory by the challengers, and it didn't happen. I mean, Tamina and Natty they beat them. They you know, I can't say they mopped the floor with them, but yeah, I thought it was a title match, though. A long answer to a short question.
According to the SmackDown results from WWE.com, it just says that Natalie and Tamina defeated the Riot Squad. Nothing mentioned on it. Whereas if I scroll down, it says, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so defeated so-and-so in a handicap match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. So
right.
The fact that it was not actually, you know, the Women's Tag Team Champion title was not added into the description, that leaves me to believe that this was not this was a non-title defense.
Okay. Now, I will say that based on how these belts are booked, that does mean that the Riot Squad is going to get a tag team title match next week.
There's a good possibility.
Yeah, because we'll talk about that when we get to Raw, too. I was actually doing some statistics and seeing which matches have reoccurred, you know, often since WrestleMania, titles and everything. So, yeah. But either way, decent match. Not too bad. And it does end with Tamina's Superfly Splash. So I guess maybe they don't want both matches in the beginning of the card to end with the same finish as well.
Right.
Are you warming up to this new tag team? At this point, I mean, I guess they're not new anymore, but, you know, what are your thoughts on Tamina and Natty?
Oh, I've always been, like, you know, in their corner. I necessarily...
I thought I saw you there last week, by the way.
What's that?
I thought I saw you there, actually, on the Thunderdome screen. So, yeah, makes sense that you're in their corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if they can have Reginald, they can be out there, you know. I know wine stuff.
Yeah.
But No, I've always been a fan of that tag team, just because they've been around quite a bit, and why shouldn't they have a opportunity at the tag team belts? I know that I think it was for WrestleMania. I think I know I chose the Riot Squad to win the little turmoil thing, but that was because I forgot about Natty and Tamina. Had I actually realized they were in that contendership, I would have voted for them. And also watching, I think it was the Friday Night SmackDown before going into it, they really hit a good promo. They really hit a good, that energy that they needed, which carried them into WrestleMania. So yeah, no, I've definitely warmed up to them. Now, by all means, they are no RK Bro by any means.
No,
but yes, they've got my support 100%. Going into matches, I will be most happily to root for them to win a match.
Yeah, they've grown on me though as well. Not a super fan, but at the same time, yeah, no, they've definitely they have earned their spot. I mean, being with the company for a better part of a decade, or not more. Now the following match that comes after this is, I don't know, I can't even do a transition here other than just talking about it. Bianca Belair goes into the ring with Carmella. Now I did find this one interesting because Carmella has like a promo before this match starts, and she's talking and acting like she's been overlooked and that like she should be in the ring with Bianca Belair. That was kind of the vibe I got. But Lord Cash, correct me if I'm wrong, this was the feud that Bianca Belair had prior to going towards WrestleMania. Singles feud, by the way, not the tag team thing with Sasha. But didn't Bianca feud with Carmella?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't remember. But that is a good possibility. Yeah, I just don't remember who she was feuding with right before she, got number one contender spot with, winning the Royal Rumble.
Right. Yeah, we can definitely double check it as well. I mean, she did fight her just before WrestleMania a couple times at the end of March and the beginning of April. So maybe it wasn't even that far back. But these two definitely had interactions. And, while Carmella continues to get better, as does Bianca Belair, I just thought it was kind of like out of nowhere where these two, I mean, Carmella's a heel too, but she's kind of like, I'm being overlooked. I'm like, no, she already beat you a couple of times. So whether it was a full-blown heel turn, either way. But bottom line is these guys can go. Well, these ladies could go, I should say. But obviously Bayley's talking smack, at ringside, and it just leads to what we're going to expect at the next pay-per-view, which I do expect it's going to be a rematch between Bianca and Bayley. Do you think anything different's going to come between those two, or is Bianca going to retain again, or what are your thoughts for the women's title on SmackDown?
As far as who's gonna be challenging Bianca, one would have to say who is worthy.
Yeah.
To so the only thing I can think of is Sasha Banks has been gone since WrestleMania.
Yeah, exactly, about 2 months or so.
So I can, there's a possibility of her coming back and be like, I want my rematch. And
I think it's a WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania. I think it's a SummerSlam thing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're gonna have fans for sure. It's a big show in itself. I think
you're gonna have fans for
Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I just think so. My thoughts for Money in the Bank in the women's division are going to be wrapped around the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Oh, okay.
Well, because women's, you know what I mean? So, I don't think that there's going to be, a major challenger for the women's title at that show. There will be a competitor, you know what I mean? It might be just, a rubber match between her and Bayley or Carmella. But I think that the big marquee match though will be Sasha at a SummerSlam. I don't know. I just think that she would get lost in the shuffle of the pay-per-view that's going to be more focused on the ladder match. Does that make sense? Right. Kind of like going all over.
I hear what you're dropping, and I'm picking it up. And so yeah, just the bigger hype is going to be the actual Money in the Bank match versus the actual title match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's also a little too soon to call what's going to be Money in the Bank. So it's just I'm see. Here's what I'm wondering if because Shayna and Nia, they're actually Raw superstars.
Yes. Yep.
So having them go back and forth has been a little confusing. Like, okay, which brand do they actually belong to? Whereas I think Natty and Tamina, are they Raw or are they SmackDown?
Natty and Tamina are considered SmackDown.
So I'm just wondering like, if any of them are going to try to go for it. But I doubt it. So right now it's kind of you either got Sasha, Bayley, or Carmella are kind of your three contenders that could easily slip in there to challenge for the belt.
Right. Well, I think last year too. I mean, last year was kind of a hodgepodge on top of the building in Stamford. But I do think that the Money in the Bank ladder matches have they been dual branded ladder matches in the last couple of years?
Yes.
So that might be something too. So we may see Nia and Shayna regardless, and whoever wins it can do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Now the next match, well, segment, so to speak, that we saw. One second, Mike. There we go. We have our guy that is really should be competing with John Morrison over the drip, so to speak. If I'm not mistaken with what that means, this guy is. I want to see this guy's closet.
I almost want to think it's one of those like, I just lost her name. Who he's dating?
Oh, Becky Lynch.
There we go, Becky. Becky's like, okay, you get one more wear of this outfit. You have to wear it to the ring, and then you have to burn it.
Yeah. I just want to add that back so you can see this beautiful outfit from Seth Rollins. I mean, it's just some of them are ridiculous. I really like this one. I mean, it's very Riddler Joker-esque with the color scheme. But then it's got those like the floral patterns. Just makes you want to go back on vacation, go somewhere like St. Lucia, to a tropical rainforest. I mean,
if the Joker was dating Poison Ivy, this is the outfit.
Yes. Well, and Poison Ivy, red hair. Becky Lynch, red hair.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, continues to kind of like, raise the ire of Cesaro. Clearly shown that this feud is not done at all. I'm still kind of on the fence. I think we talked a little bit about this idea of like, what is coming up in the main event for SmackDown at Hell in a Cell? Where truly do these guys lie in the world of the Universal Championship even? What were some things that you picked up from this particular segment on SmackDown other than his amazing wardrobe?
Realistically, it was just kind of just furthering their feud, their storyline that I think as we had our conversation a little while ago about, the fact that the next pay-per-view is Hell in a Cell, how many matches are going to be in the Hell in a Cell? And you thought it was going to be a very low number. I can see this match between Seth Rollins and Cesaro actually being in the Hell in a Cell because there is that pop, that build up, that proper build up for the feud, for that, So this is one of those that I could see be a Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Because you said proper build up, right? Hell in a Cell really should be a feud ender,
Yeah.
and have people that actually care and have a going feud to begin with.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah. Now, up next, we did have Apollo Crews versus Kevin Owens. It's like they have been building this one a little bit lately with, I almost said Dabo Kato, which is what his real name is, I believe. But, oh, my God.
C's?
Yes, exactly. Just a back and forth. It was clear that Kevin Owens was on the verge of winning until, of course, you had that interference, which, continues to get heat on. Okay, I just got to say, it looks like Heath Slater right there. I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't miss this, did I? Because I think Heath Slater's a DNA Impact right now.
Right. Yeah. No, that's that's not.
So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of going, further. I mean, I'm assuming. Correct me if I'm wrong. What? So you know what? What do you anticipate is going to be happening as far as Hell in the Cell regarding the Intercontinental Championship match? And again, it is a little early. We still have, I think, 2 weeks before Hell in the Cell. But are we going to get a rematch between Kevin Owens and Apollo? Are we going to see anything, including like a Big E or anybody else? They've already done the multi-man.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if they're going to try it again. Just because they have that contendership going. I definitely know that Kevin Owens and Apollo have that feud, but so does Big E and Apollo. They've got that feud, and you've got Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. That's been that long-standing feud that I almost feel like it could build up to not necessarily a Hell in a Cell match, but definitely build up to a ladder match.
Yeah,
possibly at Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, it's no matter what, it's going to be. Did you say ladder match?
Yeah.
That kind of went over my head. I mean, do you think that they would do a ladder match, like basically within a month of their marquee ladder match, the Money in the Bank?
Probably not, but I figured, there needs to be some sort of stipulation besides just a fatal four-way.
Yeah.
So I can't think of anything else that would work as a not necessarily a gimmick, but a stipulation to have all four of them in the ring at the same time.
Right.
So
go ahead.
I just say, then again, I don't know if you can actually, because I always get these two confused. Hell in a Cell has a ceiling, correct?
Correct.
So if that's hanging from the rafters, then it's probably not an easy thing to have the strap hanging from the rafters as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So based on that, I may retract my ladder match, but there's got to be something.
They could do it in the Hell in a Cell though, only because the whole story is that Aziz keeps getting involved.
Yeah.
So I mean that'd keep him out.
Hypothetically.
Yeah. I mean, every time there's a cage match, that means that people are going to get in somehow, but
right.
Kind of goes backwards.
Or if nothing else, they're gonna get out.
Yeah.
It's gonna end up on the top of the cell. But I do feel that this is one of those matches that there is enough build-up and animosity that could warrant a Hell in a Cell if you have those four competitors.
Yeah.
So time will tell.
Exactly. Now I gotta say, time did tell on this. I don't believe we had an opportunity to talk about this last week because we had a special edition of Slam Nation, but I am loving Shinsuke Nakamura's current feud with Baron Corbin, particularly because of the one and only Rick Boogs, I think his name is.
Oh, yeah.
The guy, he was on NXT about a year ago, and he would just come out and he'd play the air guitar. It was a really silly gimmick on NXT, and the crowd really got into it. This is before the pandemic. But then he vanished. And he appeared as the Old Spice guy that pinned Tozawa or R-Truth for the 24/7 belt. It's actually the same guy.
Oh yeah.
But I really think that his heavy metal rendition and accompaniment with Nakamura's theme song, it's out of nowhere, but I really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was actually the guy that actually does his music, or if it was just someone else, because it sounded like it.
Yeah, no, it's the Nakamura theme song was by the CFOs originally, and then they had a Japanese group, I believe, that did like the remix of it. But yeah, no, he's just basically some guy that can play heavy metal. Basically, you had I thought it was a pretty good back and forth match with Chad Gable and Nakamura, with obviously Otis getting involved. But again, it's that back and forth of so. I know you didn't start watching wrestling, Lord Cash, really until 1993. That was kind of like your real big introduction into the business.
Yeah, like I said, as I've said, on other episodes, my first, foray into this was at WrestleMania 9, where they were, live in Vegas. From there, I really, really did not watch regularly until Ric Flair owned, he came down and purchased the half of WWE from Vince McMahon. Literally, I was flipping through, and I had just met Ric Flair within the last 6 months at SeaWorld when I was working there. And I was like, oh, Ric Flair, I just saw him. Let's see what's going on. And it just sucked me in right there. The extent of my viewership was usually sneaking out of my room to go into the living room and watch, the midnight showing of, the Raw recap or Sunday Night Heat or something of that nature. Those recap shows that they would do late on Saturday night.
Yeah.
And so it didn't have cable, so I never ever watched Raw or none of the Monday Night Wars going on, because I didn't have that growing up. So, that was the extent of my wrestling. I was familiar with some of the characters and the various personalities, but unless they were really, really big and over, didn't know who they were really.
Right. Like this feud reminds me, I bring it up because in the mid to late 1980s, during your time of Macho King Randy Savage, King Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the King Harley Race, they would have the King of the Ring tournament, like they still do. This is how Baron Corbin became the king. But then they would also defend the kingship almost as like a real championship. And this is starting to remind me of that, where Baron Corbin and Shinsuke Nakamura are kind of fighting over this king crown, and it has nothing to do with the tournament aspect. So there's Rick Boogs. So I'm expecting that pretty soon, either on SmackDown, because they do main event matches on SmackDown because of the partnership with Fox, or at Hell in a Cell, you're going to see an actual match for these guys to actually compete for the actual crown.
Yeah, that's would be an interesting thing for them to actually defend the title of King of the Ring, because typically they only do it every 2-3 years. It seems like they don't do it that often. Before Corbin, I think the last one was, I don't remember.
It might be Sheamus or Wade Barrett, I believe.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I remember those two. So yeah, but that's a possibility that those were the most recent ones. Of course, the most famous of the last decade was King Booker.
Yes. Yep.
So and Queen was it Charlemagne?
I don't know. I've heard that now. Charmel.
Charmel.
I'm trying to think of who King Charlemagne was because I've heard of it historically, but I'm trying to remember who that even was.
Who knows?
Right.
Not important. It's not. They didn't wrestle. It's not important.
Yeah. But Corbin's had it for 2 years. He won it in 2019, and
Yeah.
I knew that in the top of my head and did not just spend the last 30 seconds looking at it on Google.
But yeah, it's just if they're not going to hold the event that often, and I don't think they do a proper build up to that event. Like it needs to be a pay-per-view again.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
And actually have like a full bracket, 32 bracket of competitors, and actually like let's weed this down and get your best two, and those actually have the match at King of the Ring, and actually get crowned. That way you can, because realistically, who has made a bigger statement from winning King of the Ring than that of Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Well, funny enough, like we can almost take a whole show on this, but the kingship has done a lot for people's careers.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether it be just like that launching point, of I guess to doing the victory promo like Austin did with the Austin 316 birth. But even like one of the most notorious King of the Rings was King Mabel back in 1995. The bottom line is, love it or hate it, most people hate it. It did give Mabel a big platform.
Right.
Let's say he's a main eventer. So yeah, we should maybe do a special episode just about the Kings, because let's see what happens as a result of this feud. But I do believe we ended SmackDown with Shinsuke with the crown. I believe that he's the one that walked out with it at the end.
I don't remember that, because I know maybe after what's his face knocked King Corbin, he was actually able to get the crown again.
Yeah, I believe so. Big tag team title rematch with the Dirty Dogs, going back to try to get their match, their titles back from the Mysterios. Once again, all four of these guys are professionals, are pretty good. They actually started the match as a handicap match, I believe. Very similar to when they won the belts, but almost reverse. But I mean, I did not expect the belts to switch hands so early as far as into the story, the historical reign and the first ever father and son tag team champions. And it didn't change. We still ended up having the Mysterios retain over the Dirty Dogs. And now we're going to see what goes from here, because as the show is coming to an end later in the episode, as I alluded to in the beginning, we are going to see a match between the Usos going against the tag team championship duo of Mysterio, Rey, and Dominic. This, I believe, is where the titles are going to be dropped by father and son.
Against the Usos?
Absolutely.
You think they're only going to hold it for like 2 weeks?
Only because they already jumped the shark. Like I just they're putting the Usos in there. I mean, I think that's where like the story is going, is giving them the championship back after being gone for a year.
Or that Jimmy cost them the match, and thus having the Jimmy and Jay Hell in a Cell match, because he's not with them.
Okay.
That would be the only other thing I could think of that would cause that.
Okay, so so basically this match results in the Uso breakup.
It kind of starts the downward spiral.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the fuel has already been, the kindle's already been out there. Now they're just adding the fuel before they actually strike the match.
Okay.
So because basically his as when Jimmy's come back, his attitude towards Jay, as kind of being, Roman's little puppet. I'll use the kid-friendly version to describe that.
He wasn't wearing that shirt this week. Did you notice?
Yeah. So I just feel like that's, and again, that's something that you said, that was one of the really only things that kind of would elicit a Hell in a Cell match, right, would be that feud, because again, you've got the brothers, that there is the passion there is the heated storyline, the rivalry that would merit having a Hell in a Cell match.
No, absolutely. And the brothers were in the Hell in a Cell last year against Roman, but that was when they had like one of those most intense matches in general. So realistically, I think that you're right on the money, because that's what I was mentioning before. And the beginning of SmackDown did actually have the little backstage segment that I mentioned earlier with Jimmy walks away after getting pumped about having a title match, hopefully. And then Roman just he stops Jay and says, "You're going to tell him about the plan," or something along those lines. And again, that was something that we missed, but like it was like a little bit of a segment there about, like what are the real plans? Are they really going to go for the belts in essence? Because Jimmy is definitely more excited about it than Jay is.
Right. Well, and which I don't understand is, why wouldn't Roman want them to have the belts?
That makes no sense. I agree.
Because you would want the family to be taken care of. You would want your cousins to be taken care of. And you should be going to management saying, give them, Jimmy is back. Give them the title shot. They deserve to be it because they are family. I'm pulling the strings. Make this happen.
Right.
But again, I don't know if it's just because of Jimmy's attitude. Once he's gotten there, it's like, I don't, because you've got this attitude, I'm automatically putting up a wall, and I don't want to help you.
Right. Well, and also,